Hello viewers and welcome to this vlog. It is a vlog, but it is called Rob Blog. Why do I call it Rob Blog? Well, it is just my vlog and I can call it what I want. Welcome. Happy holidays everybody. Welcome to this Rob Blog. Oh, I have my lovely little bottle Christmas tree. Don't you love a little bottle Christmas tree? I love these trees and I have had some of them for many years. But what I wanted to do was tell you a few things about Charles Dickens. He was born in Portsmouth in the United Kingdom in England in 1812, same year as the War of 1812 happened here in Canada. And he was son of a clerk and the second of 8 kids. That's a lot of Christmas stockings. He taught himself shorthand, I don't know how, and became a reporter of parliamentary debates before he started to publish sketches in periodicals. He wrote quite a few. He didn't just write A Christmas Carol, but he wrote The Pickwick Papers in 1836 to 1837, and other books like Nicholas Nickleby and Great Expectations, one of my favorites. First, and of course, Edwin Drood, which he never finished. Dickens never got a chance to finish because he popped off to the next world. So that's a little bit about Charles Dickens. And now, we left off yesterday, the first ghost, the spirit, he was trying to get rid of. And so he took this big, huge, what he called an extinguisher cap. Now, it looks like one of those, thingies that they have on the highways when they try to move you over a lane or whatever, those kind of orange tripod-y kind of things. And he put that over top of the first spirit, and the spirit just left. And that was it. So Scrooge went to bed. Apparently he had a tough snore, is what it says here, a tough snore. So he snored, obviously. And all of a sudden, he woke up and he thought. He woke up and he got to thinking. I think what he was thinking was where was the next spirit that was to join him. And I'm not sure where the next spirit was. But the bell struck 1 and no one appeared. No spirit. And he started to tremble a little bit, wondering what was going to appear, maybe at the foot of his bed any moment now. And then he waited 5 minutes, he waited 10 minutes, he waited a quarter of an hour, and nothing came. Like a Christmas spirit to be late. He's a busy man, he's got to get back to snoring. Anyhow, all of a sudden, he heard someone call his name out of the darkness. Yes, he did. He gets up, he goes over to this door, he opens the door, and it was his own room. Opens the door, it's his room. He was just in his room, he opened the door, and it was his own room. But it had undergone a surprising transformation. The walls and ceilings were hung with living green, and it looked like a grove. It was so green, and there were so many, green branches here and there and everywhere. The crisp leaves of holly were mixed in, mistletoe and ivy reflected back the light, and there were like a bunch of little mirrors scattered everywhere that everything just sparkled with glee. And there was a mighty blaze in the chimney, and the smoke and the flames roared up the chimney. Well, this sounds like the kind of party I want to go to, All of a sudden he heard this voice saying, come in and know me better, man. Sure that this isn't a gay club? A gay bar? Well, maybe not. So Scrooge did as he was told. Yes, he entered in. And this huge spirit was sitting high atop this pile of, well, you name it, he was sitting on top of it. And he was sitting there and he had this green robe on and it was wide open. So it showed his huge muscular chest. Yes, it showed his man titties, his man boobs. It was wide open and it was all covered with black furry hair. And he was laughing, and every time he moved, Scrooge could see this huge chest of his move one way and the other. And, well, anyways, you get the picture. He wasn't wearing a shirt. The robe was wide open. And he sat there and it was like there were shimmering icicles all around him. Okay? All right, I'm beginning to think the second spirit was a little bit on the gay side. Let's continue here. He had dark brown curls, brown black, I would think, And his face was sparkling, and he had an open hand, and he had a very cheery voice. Bet you've never seen the likes of me before, have you? Scrooge says, never. Mr. Scrooge never had. So he says, tonight, Mr. Scrooge says, I hope you're going to be able to teach me something, but if you do, let me profit by it. Well, the guy in the green robe, that was wide open, showing, everything. He said, all you have to do is touch my robe. Don't want to say it's gay, but keep that in mind. Scrooge did as he was told. He held on to his robe quite fast. And remember, in this room, there was every manner of things. There was poultry and meat and sausages and oysters and pies, puddings, fruit and punch, all in this room. And all of a sudden, when he touched the robe, like that, it vanished completely. I'm going to show you a little picture here. Look at this. You see this? There he is, the second ghost. You can see how the robe is hanging here. And here's Scrooge just kind of shaking, seeing this lovely... Look at the fire in the fireplace. And then all this stuff around him. It's kind of a lovely Christmas scene, I think. Oh, also, the ghost is wearing like a crown up here with holly. It looks like he has some kind of a, like a light that he's holding, a torch, if you will. Yes, interesting. Let's flip the page and see what's coming next. First of all, after he grabbed the robe, they flew out. There's a lot of flying going on in A Christmas Carol. It's like the Flying Nun, only Christmassy. The poulterers' shops were still half open, and their fruitiers were radiant in their glory. There were great round pot-belly baskets of chestnuts shaped like the waistcoats of jolly old gentlemen, like those three old farts that visited him back in his office, wanted all that money. People were ruddy, some were brown-faced, and, well, it sounded like a pretty jolly place, And out there were lots of people. And this is what the second spirit wanted to show Scrooge. All these people out there in Christmas dress, you're racing here and there, maybe shopping and seeing if the pie they ordered was available at the bakery on the corner, if it had been made in time, all that kind of stuff. Just like what happens at Christmas nowadays. But soon the steeples called good people all to church and chapel, and away they came, flocking through the streets in their very best clothes and their gayest of faces. And at the same time there emerged from scores of by-streets, lanes, and nameless turnings innumerable people carrying their dinners to the baker's shop. So you see, back then, not every poor house had a kitchen, with a gas stove and a range and a microwave. So a lot of people had to take their turkeys and stuff that they were cooking, and they had to take it to these huge bake shops where they had huge ovens, and they cooked the turkeys and the gooses and everything else that they cooked. As they watched the people scramble with their dinners to be cooked, the second spirit sprinkled incense over top of the dinners as they passed. Is there a peculiar flavor that you're sprinkling onto the dinners with your torch? Asked Mr. Scrooge. And the spirit said there is a particular flavor. It's called my own. What's your fragrance, darling? Oh, it's called my own. There you go. So what this second spirit did, he was trying to be lovely and holiday-like to everyone and sprinkling some taste and some goodwill on top of all their dinners as people scurried by at this lovely Christmas time. Well, by and by, they came to a little house, and the ghost stopped Scrooge and himself, and he stopped and he blessed the house. And it turned out that the house was that of Bob Cratchit, the clerk from Mr. Scrooge, who was across the way, who dared to ask for a whole 24 hours off at Christmas. The nerve of him. Anyhow, they just kind of went through the door. They didn't really even open it. Like Santa Claus, they just walked right through the solid door in the wall. And there they were, inside Bob Cratchit's house. Up rose Mrs. Cratchit. That was Bob's wife, of course, hence Mrs. Cratchit. She was dressed out, but poorly, in a twice-turned gown. But it was brave in ribbons, which are cheap and make a goodly show for sixpence. Now that's one of my most favorite lines. You see poor old Mrs. Cratchit in a gown she's had forever, and she's patched it up and she's fixed it up. And then to make it look gay during the holiday season, she takes ribbons and she sews ribbons on the gown and to make it look so Christmassy. And she did that, my goodness, for a sixpence. I think is one of my favorite, one of the lines that stays in my mind from A Christmas Carol. I love that one. Cheap, a twice-turned gown, but brave in ribbons. Yes. Well, then they started to wonder. The children were all around, and Bob Cratchit had a bunch of kids. No wonder he was poor. He had kids coming out of every doorway and underneath the kitchen table and wherever. Kids, and more kids. And they wanted to play a little joke on Mr. Cratchit, on Bob. And so they wanted Martha to hide and pretend that Martha couldn't make Christmas, so they would make their father very sad. Wow, that sounds like a lot. That sounds like as much fun as playing Monopoly at Christmas. Huh. Hate it. So anyhow, they heard their father coming, and quickly they told Martha, "Hide, Martha, hide." So, it's like you see in most movies, Martha hid behind the curtains, which are probably twice brave with ribbons, and her little worn shoes were sticky out underneath. It wasn't going to be difficult for Bob to find her hiding on him. So anyways, they said, "Oh, Martha's not coming." And Bob says, "Not coming on Christmas Day?" Well, he might as well go back to work, right? Anyways, Martha felt sorry, didn't want to see her dad disappointed, and so she just wept out prematurely from behind her hiding place, which again could have been the curtains, maybe a closet door, the loo, I'm not sure. And anyways, they all had a good laugh over that. Look at Martha hiding. She's not a good hider. No, not at all. Anyways, they said to him, Mrs. Cratchit first, "And how was Tiny Tim? How did he behave?" And Bob said, "As good as gold and better." Now, we're leaving it there today because we're running a little long in the tooth. Second Spirit, we're at Cratchit's house. I think we're going to talk about the turkey and the putty cooking next time. The pudding, two different things, pudding and putty. We're going to talk about turkey and pudding crackling away in the kettle. That's coming up next time. Thanks for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry these are getting long, but we are reading this whole book, and I'm trying to paraphrase a little bit and make it interesting for you. It's like Mrs. Cratchit did. She made it brave with ribbons. And I'm trying to do the same thing with some lovely ad-libs for you. Happy holidays. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time right here on this Rob Blog. In the meantime, goodbye.